So the last episode I discussed picking a location and why that's important. Uh, this time let's talk about what we wear. So any fashionista, I think, will support me in the idea that what we choose to wear, what we wear, reflects and has an effect on how we interact with the world around us. I'm not a huge fan of the fashion world and how it works. The way that designers and, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not a huge fan of the fashion industry as it stands, but I do believe in some of the ideals of fashion and the purpose of self-expression. So what I disagree with is the forcing of other people's opinions onto everybody. That's my biggest problem. But individual fashion, I believe, is very important, and this, and I think it has an effect on our view of ourselves and our personal strength and our willpower. This becomes more important when we're getting into psi work, which is focused, or which the purpose of is to focus our wills, our strength. It's to empower us. It's to make us stronger and capable of accomplishing things that may otherwise not be accomplishable. So when we start to do psi work, as I discussed, we choose a place to work, and we're trying to infuse that place with energy. Part of the psychological trick of it too, creating that psychological trigger, an energetic trigger, is also choosing specific clothing to wear. And the more consistent you are with that, the more you'll reap the benefits of the psychological part of it, which will in turn increase the energetic part. As I stated before, as you work in a room, that room can start to become a battery, so that that energy is there to, charging in the environment so that it's there for you to use. And just as I said before, it's nice to choose an environment that naturally fills you with that energy so that it's there from the beginning, but it's not an easy thing to do. And for me especially, because I like outdoors places and sometimes they're just not workable. So along those same lines, you want to choose clothing that makes you feel like you're practicing psi. I'm kind of old school. I'm wearing what I frequently wear for my PsiRitual practice. I like the robes. I like feeling like a mage or a wizard. It helps focus my energy into that purpose because the tradition is there for me. It's not there for everybody. I know some people that just use the same set of sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and that works. And if that's what makes you comfortable and makes you feel empowered, then do what you need to do. But I like having the ability to put the hood down, as it does help under certain circumstances to shut off more of the outside world. So there's use to it, there's symbolism to it, and I resonate with that symbolism. So I choose to go with that more traditional imagery. But again, that doesn't work for everybody. I also like bringing in more Japanese motifs with hakama, but again, each person has to figure out for themselves, when they put it on, does it make them feel strong? Then over time, even if it's something that, if a person can't find something that does that for them, then they can just pick something that is comfortable and practical and use it repeatedly, because over time that will become associated with the practice and that will become infused with your energy, and that will serve the purpose of empowering you. So after a certain amount of time of doing it, of working with those particular clothes, you will make the associations, and it will become a powerful tool for you to get into the right mindset. As we progress, we're going to see that set and setting, not to quote Timothy Leary, but he was definitely onto something, are very important. Being of the right mindset and being in the right place, in the right environment, will have a drastic effect on your success with psi work. This is something that's not taken into consideration by the scientific community because they want a laboratory setting because that's what they're used to. But we have to look outside the laboratory setting because it's not the right set and setting. So a lot of people feel that or have the misconception that magic is a bunch of words, that so PsiRitual is not just about the words that you say, it's about the totality of the environment and everything that's going on around you. And getting your mind to the right point in order to tap into this energy that's always around you. So even the slightest disturbance of the mind can ruin a work or a spell, if you will, or a PsiRitual. And so these first 2 points are to help get to the right mindset so that you're in a good place from the very start, so that when you get out of work and you've just had a rough day and God knows what else is going on, and everybody's lives seem hectic these days and there's always a lot going on, that all of those disturbances, all of that energy that has us pushing back and forth and tearing us apart and causing conflict within ourselves, that all of that, when you get to that place and you don those clothes, starts to creep away because you're telling yourself that this is what I'm doing now. And so you're aligned. Just those 2 things can help align all of your consciousness, all of your being, and focus it on whatever your intentions are. And it's a work in progress. It takes effort. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight, but if you keep working at it little by little, and as we go on, we'll see that although psi is not a miracle fix, which is usually why people turn to it, it's not going to just change things like we see, in movies and TV shows and everything. However, I should say it's not going to do that in the beginning. But over time, even just these 2 steps of setting and clothing and consistency, you'll find that the effects of it last longer and are more thorough than a lot of the little fixes that we do day to day, whether it's drugs or throwing money at it or just all the OCD things that humanity does to try to patch these little problems that arise. That these small efforts that I'm going to be describing over time, throughout the series, go a long way to digging through and rearranging the energy patterns that we're feeling and fixing things that we didn't know needed to be fixed, that all of a sudden smooths out a whole bunch of other issues that we have. So it takes time and effort, but that time and effort ease the road ahead of us dramatically. And let's look at the time and effort, which is relatively small. Most systems advise maybe 30 minutes a day, which can be skipped every other day or done every so often, as long as 5 minutes a day are spent just focusing for a little while and thinking of psi and separating yourself from that day-to-day vortex of other people's energy and chaos. And so pick a place that's empowering if you can. If not, just pick a place. Pick clothing that gives you strength, even if it has nothing to do with psi. If you put a suit on and that suit makes you feel strong, then use that. But these things should be set aside for only working with psi. I mean, if you need to, and if it's a nice, if it's an excuse because you like to go shopping or whatever, then go out and try something on and think about what it means to empower yourself and draw your energy in and focus it and become a unified being. Think about what it means to take control of your life and pick clothing that makes you feel like you can do that, and sacrifice it to the work. Set that clothing aside specifically for the work so that it doesn't get tainted with your other day-to-day stuff. So that when you put that on, it washes your day-to-day stuff away. It removes that taint. You take off those filthy clothes that you had at work. Sometimes it's figurative, sometimes it's imaginary. Imaginary is not quite sometimes it's mental. It's mental filth, that's built up on you and on those clothes, and remove those clothes, and put on those fresh clothes that are just for that particular work, and you will feel a transition with the next few stages that I'll talk about, the next couple of practices or steps, and you will feel a difference as soon as you put those clothes on in that spot, and you'll just be refreshed. It'll help get over the hump of not wanting to do it, and over time, if you can consistently get yourself to just spend 5 minutes doing deep breathing exercises or some of the other ones that I'll be presenting, you will have overcome some serious obstacles that a lot of people can't do. And it's progress, and it seems like it's little baby steps, but these baby steps make a big difference. So pick what empowers you, pick what makes you feel like you have psychic control over the universe, or just control over your life, or just makes you feel confident enough to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do, and set those aside for the work. And again, just like the environment, it's twofold. One, initially it should make you feel strong, and then two, you're going to develop that pattern so that when you're feeling like you can't anymore, you can put that on, and it will have created a pattern of strength where you can overcome and just do what you can every single day, just every little bit. So thank you for watching the show.